Welcome to the Expert Talks by Kalkine TV. My name's Sage, and today's guest is Mr. Ahmet Şener. He's the managing partner at Smart Citizenship. Getting a second passport these days can be complex and very time-consuming. Today's guest will help us to understand the new paradigms of gaining a second citizenship. I so want to find out more from Ahmet, who will help us understand this subject better. So bringing you live today, we have Mr. Ahmet Şener, founder and managing partner from Smart Citizenship. Welcome to the show, Ahmet.
Hello, it's really nice to be here.
It's fantastic to have you join us today, and you have so much knowledge to share, so let's get started. You created Smart Choice, a simple investing methodology that lets your clients protect their wealth and get a plan B efficiently. So can we find out more, please?
Of course. Smart citizenship and the smart investment algorithm, it's all about leveling the playing field. Residency and citizenship by investment. So let's get how this works first. So technically, this is retail or individual FDI. Foreign direct investment, it's usually made extremely easy for institutional investors. But what we are out to do is to provide similar support systems, giving them cold hard data on investments, evaluating and comparing investments for individual investors within a singular algorithm. So technically, individuals, when investing overseas, are able to act and invest like institutional investors. So giving the data, we help making sense of the data. And after the investment is done, acquiring the attached documents, be it a passport or a residency card, it's extremely easy. It becomes an operation after you get the investment right.
That's fantastic. So you're giving the retail investor the same opportunities that perhaps are usually open to institutional investors. Is that correct? That sounds great.
Exactly.
And what about the minimum investment amount? Does that change as well, regardless of whether someone is a market retail investor or institutional?
Well, individuals, of course, a little different than institutional investors. They are actually ringing our door to get a second citizenship or a residency permit. So for them, of course, there are minimums. So, for example, 250,000 euros gets you a Greek golden visa, or if you want another country in Europe, you can go to Portugal. That gives you 280K golden visa. Or if you're feeling adventurous, you can come to Turkey and take advantage of the 250K real estate investment route that gives you a fast-tracked passport. So it depends on what the individual is looking for.
Wow, so you're ringing us from Turkey today. That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Exactly, from the other side of the world.
Yes, it's amazing technology these days. So can we find out a little bit more, now that our curiosity is definitely piqued, what are the popular programs at Smart Citizenship? I think you touched on it a little there. Can you expand on that?
So unfortunately, there isn't a one-size-fits-all solution here. So programs these days have become very versatile to accommodate different needs from different people. So the first question would be, are you relocating? Are you open to relocating? If yes, you can just get the really simple and straightforward Portuguese D7 visa, which is very popular with digital nomads or people just looking to relocate. Or if you want to, if you're relocating and if you're open to start a company, you can get the innovator visa from the UK, for example. Or if you're a really talented individual, if you have specific skills, you can go to Canada, UK again, who are very accommodating. But let's say you want to stay where you are, but you just want a plan B passport or a second residency. So then the question becomes how big of an investment you're willing to make, or how much time you have until you have that passport in your back pocket. So, but to really sate your curiosity on the popular programs, I mean, for people who are looking for a plan B, the Portuguese Golden Visa is almost 90% of the time our go-to route. But the Greek program is making trails. The Greek government is making everything right and correct, all the correct moves. So they are next in line to become really popular. And the Turkish program, it blindsided everyone. We never expected to be this powerful when compared to other programs that give you Schengen zone access, UK access. The Turkish citizenship program gives you a very modest passport, but it seems due to lifestyle choices, people are investing in Turkey to become Turkish.
That's very interesting. And the Portuguese passport and the digital nomad lifestyle, that is something that a layperson wouldn't know. So thank you so much for sharing your information. Now, you may have heard of those countries sometimes advertising $1 residences, come and stay here and buy a house for $1. Have you heard of those schemes advertised usually on social media? Are they true? Would you have any information on that?
Sure, sure. You'd be surprised how many programs we take into consideration for any individual. That $1 purchases, here is how they work. Let's say you're a beautiful town in Italy, but let's say most of the housing stock over there is in shambles. You can't exactly tear them down because they are most likely historical. I mean, they are priceless buildings. So what you do is that you go out and look out for investors who are willing to renovate them. So you can move there, but of course it comes with strings attached. And it doesn't work in the same manner as a golden visa or a citizenship by investment program. So, for example, not all countries can move over there, and of course, once you own the property, you're obliged to renovate it. And let me tell you, renovating an historical villa in Tuscany, it costs quite a bit of money.
Thank you so much for offering us a little bit of light on that situation. And becoming a digital nomad is so much more popular than it was 10 or 20 years ago. So investing overseas now will also free up people's time and give them a bit of financial freedom. So what are the best ways of limiting risk in your opinion?
So, first of all, use everything on cold hard data. Touching back on the point, giving the weapons the institutional investors have. So let's say you're managing a real estate investment fund that invests overseas. You're not going to take anything at face value. You will be a cold and calculating person and base everything on data. That's the first thing you need to do as an individual, because let me tell you, as an individual, you're exposed to more risks because you don't have access to top of the line lawyers like institutional investors do. You don't know a lot about the country you're investing in. You don't have many friends over there. So that's why you don't take anything at face value. For example, if a developer or a seller is giving you a rental guarantee or a buyback guarantee once you're done with the program, you need to dig deep into what sort of guarantee is it? Is it an SPV guarantee? Is it a bank letter? If it's a SPV guarantee, it's more or less the same as me promising to give you back your money. That's it. So, and even on top of that, what I would do if I didn't have anyone to count on, I would just follow the local smart money. Just ignore the hypes. Just limit your exposure to the marketing companies like us unfortunately are doing, and you just follow the local money where it's going, and it's going to take you where you need to be 90% of the time. And my biggest worry would be individual investors investing in asset classes that they wouldn't invest at home. So here is how it works. Let's say all of your real estate investments are in residential. recommend if you go to Portugal or Turkey or anywhere for that matter to invest in residential because you know how the game works. But all of a sudden, if someone pitches you student housing that you don't know anything about, well, I would just take a step back. If it's something you're not exposed to back home, why take the risk with your first investment abroad? So basically, if you do these, I mean, these I know these to do them, it's a tall order. Like saying these things over a call like this, it's very easy. But actually doing that, following the smart money, these are big things, and that's why some blatant marketing on my side. You need really good consultants.
Exactly. So we've noticed that maybe the trends have changed over time with citizenship and immigration. Everyone used to want to go to America, and now, I don't know, things changed perhaps with President Trump's change in immigration policies and things like that. From your perspective, how has the availing or gaining of citizenships transformed over the years? Have you noticed any particular trends?
The USA example you've given, it's the perfect example. Thank you for just giving that to me on a silver platter, because I wasn't going to name names of countries, but a very surprising thing is happening in the USA. People, as you said, people from countries like mine, and even all around the world for that matter, people were looking to go to USA. The trend is still continuing. Don't get me wrong, people want to relocate to USA. But the big news is US citizens are looking to relocate elsewhere because the cat is out of the bag now. With the previous president, they have seen how prejudiced people can become overnight. Uh, I mean, playing it, but there was a civil coup attempt at the Capitol. These aren't small things. And on top of that, there's this tax the rich trend. I'm all for social justice, but tax the rich with the pitchforks and the flames, that's not nice. So because of this, USA citizens are looking to relocate to greener pastures, if you can believe that. So lower taxes are attracting them, lower social friction is attracting them. But in terms of transformation, there is, of course, the biggest trend is from the developing world. Here is how it works over there. Uh, People from the developing world, they no longer want to be judged by the mistakes of their governments. They want options. They want to be treated better. They want their kids to be able to attend top of the line education without pulling strings. So that's why citizenship paradigm is shifting. People want to choose their citizenship now. But of course, there is the social friction and disgust, if I may say, from most countries, including Turkey. This passport for the rich, as they put it, campaigns. They don't want these. But imagine this. I always use the institutional investor and institutional FDI example. When a big company is looking to relocate, they get zero taxes, all sorts of privileges. These huge companies have been paying zero taxes in Ireland for a while, until, of course, it changed. But when we give individuals residencies or even passports for their hard earned money to be from countries, people lose their minds. This is the biggest challenge that is stopping this paradigm shift. The paradigm shift, to put it as a summary, is that you're no longer a prisoner to your current citizenship. Countries out there want you to be on their team, and they are going the extra mile for in exchange for a small investment in most cases. 250K, it used to be a lot of money, but inflation and everything, it's becoming more of a middle class thing these days.
So can I just confirm or just clarify one thing? With your services, you help people to gain a second passport in many cases, but also through the process help them to gain knowledge and opportunities for international investment. Is that correct?
That's a very astute observation. The different thing about smart citizenship, most companies like us, and there are many, by the way, they just beeline to the citizenship privileges attached to investments or the residencies attached to these investments. We're more focused on the investment side. So a very interesting thing that struck us was no single investor we have has only invested for the citizenship with us. They kept investing because I think we give that extra punch when picking the investments. But I mean, so most people see the residencies as the main course. For us, the residency and the passport that come with the investment is just the cherry on the top. The investment has to be very solid, very sound. And if we get a passport out of it, that's awesome. And I mean, it's an end-to-end service, but I think it's because of the DNA of the company. I mean, we have an investment banker, we have a lawyer on board in-house. Me, I come from a real estate investment background. I mean, we can't sort of stop ourselves from being very aggressive on making a good investment.
Thank you. And I guess part and parcel with investment comes taxation. Does your company also help with international tax and how to get started with that?
Exactly as you said, we help with how to get started. Taxation is a heavily regulated industry. I mean, tax consulting anywhere. So we have a network of very solid advisors anywhere you go. It could be Dominica, it could be Turkey, it could be Portugal. We just point you and make play matchmaker with investor and tax advisors because some investors move everything. For example, their companies, their entire residencies, their disposable income, everything. Uh, so for that kind of person, you need a different kind of tax advisor. But for the guy who's looking to just buy a flat in Athens, you don't need a lot of taxation consulting firepower. I mean, it's not cheap, so we are a little uh, stringy about how we use our clients' money. But to give you some flavor, for example, Portugal has a very interesting taxation tax break for people relocating over there. So they tax your international income at 0% if you structure it right. So of course we get people started on the NHR, but taxation is a jigsaw. You can't give a one size fits all solution. Tax experts.
Great, thank you so much. And we have to start winding up the discussion now. So we have been living through a pandemic era and travel, tourism has all been affected in a massive way. How has it affected your business? How did you manage to stay buoyant? And what are your near-term goals in the pipeline?
Sure. I mean, any conversation cannot end without talking about the pandemic, of course. But even though pandemic has been the worst thing to happen to most people and most companies, uh, speaking only commercially, there was a demand boom for us because once people are stuck in their countries, imagine you're from the developing world, you end up in the red list of the European Union. You can't go anywhere. You feel imprisoned. So what you do is that you call the guy you talked to maybe 6 months ago about a second citizenship, and you fast track the process. So there was a demand boom, but it was very hysteric. So it was really hard to keep up on our end. But over time, it stabilized. There is less hysteria, of course, but people are just taking more solid steps. So for us, it increased revenue. But of course, being a startup in the middle of the pandemic, it is providing huge problems for us as well. I mean, the end of this thing couldn't come sooner, but over time, once things stabilize, we want to stay hybrid, but I really want to see my teammates more in person because, I mean, honestly, I missed them. That's it. And business-wise, I think we would be much better off having the flexibility to travel more freely without fear And I'm very much looking forward to the end of this.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much for sharing your personal story there. And before you go, just going to ask you one thing from your personal knowledge. In your opinion, what's the best passport to have? You've mentioned Portugal a fair few times. What passport, in your opinion or from your knowledge, gives you the most access to the world?
It's situational. Access to the world, Singapore, Japanese passport, it's awesome. I mean, Portuguese on the top, passport is on the top five, but I really, I think you may have noticed, but I try avoiding naming a best option all the time. It's very situational. It's very dependent on what the investor wants to do with their passport. I mean, some passports are very modest in itself. So I think we have to go invest case by case on this. But I mean, if I wanted to magically receive a passport, it would probably be the Singaporean passport.
Oh, very interesting. Well, it's an emerging economy with some great tax
Exactly.
infrastructure for crypto, I believe. Well, anyway, thank you so
Exactly.
much, Ahmet. I really appreciate you sharing your passion for what you do. It's clearly evident you love your job, so thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to the next time, perhaps. Take care.
Absolutely. Bye-bye. So today, viewers, if you have just joined us, we had a very informative discussion there with Mr. Ahmet Şener. He's the founder and managing partner from Smart Citizenship. And please watch the full interview via YouTube at Kalkine Media. Until the next episode, please keep watching for more live market updates and hot trends. And as we say, stay apprised and invest wise with Kalkine.